Hello everybody and welcome! My name is Ketchup and I'm joined on commentary by Mustard, and this is week number 1 of the Quake World Championship. However, this is the Sunday playoff for both Duel and Sacrifice.
So what that means is we'll be going over both game modes today. We'll be starting off with our 1v1 duels, and then later on tonight we'll be going through to our 4v4 Sacrifice. So earlier in the week we had players in a Duel Cup of over 700 entrants play down to the top 16. And also in Sacrifice we played down to, I believe, our round of 8 teams.
Yeah, final 8 teams.
So we have the top of the top this week. You know, the best players have made their way down through, and the way this will work is all of our matches in Duel will be round of 16 games. If you win your match here today, we will see you again in our regional finals later on. So every match counts. This is do or die time. So you need to win or try again next week.
So we have a schedule on screen ready to go to show you guys exactly how this is going to work. As you can see, our matches coming up. First things first, we have toxjg versus Ron, Luminous versus Noctis, Neutrino versus Strengths, Rel versus Agent, and Vu versus Zoot. This is the first 5. We have got 3 more matches good to go, which will be Hell versus Cooler, Vishtal versus Claws, and Inns versus Cypher. So as you can see here, it really is kind of like a bunch of matches that we expect to see. A lot of very familiar faces in this bracket, especially across multiple Quake games as well, but also some slightly newer faces, you know, not players that have been around since like the absolute beginning, players that have sort of come about not sort of super recently, but, you know, sort of like that nice sort of meeting in the middle balance. So either way, I think it's just a nice blend of talent and, more importantly as well, champion variety.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. Even starting things off right, toxjg being arguably, you know, a bit of a favourite to win this first match, but I don't think it's going to be free by any means. I'm kind of expecting most of, if not all of these games to go down really close today, just based on what we saw on Thursday. But even case in point, toxjg, right, has really favoured these big body, sort of larger health, slower movement champions. Like, for example, Scalebearer. We saw a nice amount of Scalebearer in Duel, but I think toxjg probably playing him the best out of what we saw. And, you know, sort of the proof is that he's here today, still in the tournament, still playing, I'm assuming, the character. And even when we saw toxjg playing in Sacrifice, he was still kind of filling that big body defensive character role, or champion, I should say. So, and then we've got players that will just run 3 really fast, really high mobile champions. So I think that's one of the most interesting things so far, is just that sheer variety we're seeing already.
But obviously he's wrong. We cannot count this guy out either. He is also a well-recognized superb Quake Champions player. He's been competing just as much as everyone else has in the 125 FPS Cups. I mean, even, you know, Cooler has his own sort of tournament series every Saturday, which all of these players are taking part in as well. So they're very well seasoned in Quake Champions, even though it is definitely a new game. As you can see, these guys have had a fair amount of gameplay, and toxjg going straight in with that Scalebearer pick, as you mentioned.
Yeah, that's definitely not a surprise. toxjg looking really confident on this champion specifically and going straight to it. Ruins of Sarnath will be our first map today, and Xron returning with Nyx into Ranger, something we see quite a lot. Nyx very, very popular in this 1v1 game.
And then we were talking about how toxjg likes to favour the big bodies, and he's gone into Sorlag and Scalebearer. I think he's definitely confident in his accuracy, you know, going in for that Visor 3rd pick, which can be a real ace in the hole sometimes. When you sort of respawn, pop that piercing sight immediately, catch sight of where everyone is on the map. But as you can see here, it's definitely one end of the seesaw to the other. You can see toxjg going for those big tanky champions with the large health and armor pools, but then Xron going in for the Ranger, Nyx, and Blazkowicz. So he's going to have a lot of damage output and, in some cases, survivability on his hands, because the Dire Orb is a great way to escape. Obviously, Nyx, even though she's quite squishy and easy to kill, she's not easy to sort of like kill outside of things like rails and rockets that will just sort of delete her in one, because of that ghost walk, making her invincible while she's invisible and running away. Like, you know, there's a lot of survivability, even though they're not the highest health pools.
But speaking of high health pools, though, toxjg bringing out this 2 of his 3 being some of those tankier champions, but in return, Xron has gone with that Blazkowicz, who
I feel like that's a direct answer to those 2 champions.
I mean, Blazkowicz's ability, the dual wield, where he just massively increases his damage output. If you are accurate with certain weapons, you know, maybe a super shotgun, heavy machine gun, lightning gun, anything that just puts out a lot of damage very, very quickly, Blazkowicz will shred anyone. And neither of these characters, it's not a clutch. He's not going to have a barrier to stop that. So if you're accurate, that's going to be some guaranteed damage. And going straight into this toxjg, starting off with Sorlag versus Xron on this Nyx.
A really nice spawn as well, seeing it's even a spawn right near that heavy armor. So look at how stacked Sorlag is already. He's already got a rail on hand, on top of the lightning gun. That is going to be more than enough weaponry to get the job out. And already a really impressive rail. Nyx, one of the smallest hitboxes in the game as well. Impressive.
I was
shot.
actually going to talk.
Oh, speaking of which,
Lord. I was going to talk about this before, but
that was a good first blood.
As we go down, toxjg with the rail gun. I think he might be one of the strongest players we've seen with rails overall that we've seen in Quake Champions so far. He is on point constantly.
He is not even bothering to go for the rocket launcher. He's got a rail gun, he's got a lightning gun, he's going to pick up this heavy armor. That's going to be more than enough to maybe secure this final frag.
But that's an important thing here, though, grabbing that heavy armor with a tanky character like Sorlag. I mean, look at just how much health he's got available right now. That is scary.
Absolutely, he's Ron in a bad situation. Going in for the dual wield, though. How much damage is toxjg going to do? Can he do it? Yes! Very fast round right there. Ron tried to go in for the dual wield, tried to shred that health. Couldn't do it in time, but rockets combined with that acid spit, draining the health down, was just going to be way too much damage to contest with. Very aggressive round. toxjg being very confident, seemingly.
Well, let's not forget, as of a few days ago, I should say, the rounds are now 3 out of 5 for a map as opposed to 2 out of 3. So toxjg definitely one round on the board. It didn't even get knocked off his Sorlag, but Xron has more than enough time to make this adjustment.
Oh yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Speaking of which, though, speaking of adjustment, starting with Ranger this time, though, instead of Nyx, toxjg running with the Sorlag again. No reason to swap off when you had that much of a strong round.
Again, just playing a very sort of patient, slow game.
He wants that rail, he's just not sure yet.
It's also a matter of sort of listening out, right? That's a very sort of nice middle section of the map where you can sort of hear where people are. Speaking of which, a little bit of a rail fight near this Mega Health, trying to deny the space, almost guarantee that Mega.
That's actually really smart too, right? That area denial, using that acid spit just to stop Xron from being able to safely pick it up, and toxjg's able to secure it, as well as the heavy armor straight away, looking very strong for toxjg already.
I like the fact that he's prioritizing these health pickups, you know, that mega health, heavy armor on Sorlag, who's already quite fast because of that bunny hop passive, so she can navigate the map quite quickly. But a really nice placement there from Xron, actually. Quite a cheeky little placement on top of that archway.
Yeah, Xron already has himself a rocket and a rail. They're trying to play this range game. toxjg eats a rail, but he can take one more before he has to start getting concerned. But he's going to run away anyway, stock back up. That's something we see quite a lot in these duels, though, is if you know you're not winning that fight, getting out straight away, and Xron is going to finish him off with some lightning gun.
Now, I think that was almost one of the other twists in the tale of how if you are one of these larger champions, you are much easier to hit. Hang on, gets a fantastic spawn with the LGs. Xron, no doubt, might chase this down. Look at the fact that he's doing so much damage. Oh, no.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
That
wow.
was, yeah, very unfortunate. Going in for the bull rush, colliding with the wall, so we got nothing off it. Wasted the ability and got taken out. Now, on the flip side, actually, Xron, even though that's such a dominant round number 1, he now has that lead of 3 champions versus 1.
It's just the nature of how fast things can turn on their heads. This is exactly what happened to Xron last time, and now able to do it to toxjg instead. But toxjg, unfortunately, missing that bull rush, not being quite as clean and precise as he was in the first round, and Xron, complete opposite.
Yeah, his accuracy hasn't been as good as we saw in that first round. It's kind of strange, really. I think it's almost like, you know, one end of the seesaw to the other, where if you're going to play as these large champions, you need to make sure your accuracy is on point, because it's unlikely the opponent's going to miss you. Can he finish this one off? But no, Xron going in with the dire orb, 100 damage against a Visor with little health is going to absolutely seal that one.
Prepare to fight.
It's also kind of, I don't want to say easy to confirm damage, but Visor, let's not forget, if you're fighting in 1v1 point blank, he's not like Nyx or Anarchy, who can just sort of pop that either straight up invisibility and damage immunity or speed increase. You know, if you're fighting Visor point blank, his mobility options aren't quite the same as some other champions we see.
Yeah, toxjg using that bull rush to sort of secure the railgun and the heavy armor together. Quite a generous cooldown. Oh, we can hear Xron actually. He knows he's coming down. Xron was not ready for him right there.
Yeah, throws Dario, but I doubt he's going to chase that one, though. Gets a little bit of a health pickup. His armor is completely gone. Xron kind of waiting for him here. Question is he around the corner still, or has he jumped down? We can see toxjg trying to top up right now. Takes a little bit longer with these heavier champions, but you can see the health is definitely worth it. And the heavy armor's coming up any minute now. Mega health there, too. Is Xron going to pick it up? Yes, he has. They've sort of just traded the pickups with each other.
You can see how effective it can be when you sort of play this patient game and listen out. Speaking of which, here comes another fight. Yeah, definitely toxjg going to take that one. Did a bunch of damage. Lightning gun's going to finish it off. Xron now going immediately in for the Blaskovitz. Maybe confident he can actually, yeah, going straight in for the dual wield. He's confident he can actually trade that 1-1 with the dual wield.
Yeah, confident he's actually just used his bull rush to completely get out of that situation too. I mean, let's not forget Blaskovitz, the cooldown on his dual wield is significantly longer than the bull rush, so toxjg going to take that trade.
Almost double the time, in fact.
See this run here for the heavy armor. toxjg's going to pick it up. Yes, he does.
I mean, bear in mind, Scalebearer's still got 100 HP combined with that 120 armor. He's going to be very difficult to take down, especially seeing as Xron, as we mentioned, it's going to be a while before he gets that dual wield back. Yeah, not surprised to see him sort of go back there and not try and take that rail fight.
You can see just how much he's going to sponge the damage there with this armor. So important to be topped up.
I'll sort of retreat back, hanging around the heavy armor a little bit. You wonder if Xron's going to come down here. We see a lot of fights on the ruins take place down in this area where the heavy armor spawns. A lot of players sort of almost making baits, anticipating the other guy to expect it, and they sort of meet in the middle.
But they actually seem quite content just trading these power-ups with each other, though. I mean, constantly Xron is able to get hold of the mega health, Toxic getting the heavy armor, and that's basically been the way for the last couple of minutes.
Well, the large champions become a much bigger headache, I think, when they take the heavy armor compared to the mega health. Because
well, there are health pickups all over the place, right?
Exactly. There's health pickups all over the place, and if you're a maximum of 150 HP anyway, that's already going to be sometimes above what a lot of the smaller champions will almost overcharge themselves with when they pick up a mega health. So if you overcharge your armor and the natural high health pool, I mean, you are by far one of the tankiest forces in the whole game.
He does have that bull rush stock, though. You can use that for a few reasons. Mobility, you can get it right at the end for almost like insta-kill potential with a significant amount of damage. Or you can use it for instant burst point blank. And against Blazkowicz, who a bit like Visor doesn't have those sort of instant escape options. If you're fighting, if Toxic can survive that dual wield, that can really help him out.
I definitely think we're unlikely to see Toxic go in for that aggressive bull rush unless he's convinced he's going to secure a kill, though. Because I think going straight into a point blank Blazkowicz, who's going to no doubt dual wield in that situation, can be super risky. Hang on, the rail doesn't connect.
Yeah, this time Toxic opts to go towards the mega health first before the heavy armor. Maybe trying to catch Xron there, but Xron showing patience. Unfortunately, has cost him both of the big power-ups.
If only he stayed on that rail for just half a second longer, actually may have got a little shot off on Xron there. But again, this sort of very slow-paced game right now. It's definitely a change of pace of what we've seen so far.
Well, I mean, the clock is at the moment on Toxic's side. He has that champion
always caught him off guard.
Oh yeah, he caught him behind. Is Xron going to stay for this fight? He got hit by a rail. Oh, he goes for the bull rush. He's going all in. No! Towards the mega health. At the very least, he's going to be able to take that.
Yeah, that's a victory either way. Even if he didn't get the frag, he forced Xron away. And now he's going to get both the mega health and the heavy armor. Xron now, I mean, that's quite a big ask to make a comeback against a scale bearer with this much stacked up.
He hasn't seen him.
It's a little burst of damage, but honestly, it's not really enough. Hasn't taken out all of the armor. Still a little bit of armor left to go. And 5 seconds left on that mega health once again.
Oh, caught him out. Xron really low on health here. If he can get a good couple rockets, it might work.
Oh, he missed the rail again. That would have been a frag.
Oh, the heavy armor's coming up. Toxic looks quite content. Always going to catch him going for it. Yes, forced him back on, up until the jump pad. And Xron once again loses both of these power-ups. 1 minute to go. If Toxic can hold out for a minute, he will win the round on that champion lead he's got, 3-2.
Yeah, that 1 minute warning, man. It's going to be so difficult for Xron. Unless he wins this fight right here, he has to make something happen. Again, catches the rail, but is it enough?
Almost got caught on the wall. Toxic was 1 rail away from death in that situation. Trying to top himself up as fast as possible. Picking up this armor, no doubt. Yeah, going to top himself up a little bit.
So bear in mind, it's 35 seconds until this round is going to be over and Toxic wins due to champion advantage, but now he's got a heavy armor and access to Bull Rush. Bull Rush will also heavily reduce the damage that you take while you're in that animation. It takes quite a while. So if we get to like the last 10 seconds, the last 15 seconds, Toxic in a fight will basically be able to just Bull Rush out of there, take minimal damage, and it'll be very difficult for someone to actually catch up to him before the round finishes.
Plus, it's like we say, right? If you're playing a character you need to chase down, Blazkowicz isn't the best at doing that particularly, especially if you've got a full speed ahead. Oh, that rocket's gonna be good. Actually taking a ton of damage. He charges through, goes for the kill, but he misses.
Stalls a little bit of time, but it's not enough. He gets that last minute frag, and just like that, he ties it up on the last possible second. You wonder if Toxic should just try to bull rush out there instead.
I'm not sure, but literally by the skin of his teeth, Xron is able to take it back. Toxic goes straight onto Sorlag for this, well, overtime. Now we are on sudden death, so next kill will take it.
I mean, going in for Sorlag was a good call, to be honest. I mean, in this situation where if he gets caught on a bad spawn, he has a lot of natural health to really sort of stay alive for a bit longer. And just like that, Xron down to his last 20 HP. No mega health in sight. He's in big trouble.
The mega health coming up in 10 seconds. I don't know if Xron quite has the timer or if he's just trying to stay here as long as possible until it eventually comes back. So he's sort of just waiting for it here. 1 second to go. There we go, he got it.
Very important, actually. They didn't trade a rail, so I'm just straight up won that. But, I mean, what an exchange from Xron. I mean, it was just until the last possible second. He did not give up.
I like how he's watching this armor, though. He knows he's tagged Toxic with a rail, so if he's going to try and top the armor up, he's likely to go there at some point, but Toxic not really falling for it. We can see Toxic to the right, but Xron hasn't seen him yet.
No, he hasn't caught sight of him. I wonder if Toxic caught him instead. They may not have seen each other. Either that or he's going on for the heavy armor instead.
Yeah, he was just trying to stall out until the heavy armor came up.
Going in for the dual wield. Can he make it count? But no! What a turnaround. That was a great round.
I mean, you saw the speed in which Toxic was just losing both health and armor, but just that one rail, that instant denial, that quick snap too. Wonderful stuff. Round 3 is done. 2-1 in Toxic's favor right now. After what seemed to be quite a big mistake, Toxic is able to salvage it.
Very important, I think, that after a situation like that, you can recover, like, you know, convincingly. However, Xron, I mean, we've clearly seen this guy is determined. Cannot count this guy out at all.
Oh, and Xron was waiting, but unfortunately just missed the rail.
But again, in a situation with 190 health and a rocket launcher, if he catches Xron out of position, it's going to be big trouble.
Heavy armor coming up in a few seconds, though. Toxic can get this like a massive advantage, but Xron is here. He's trying to contest it, starting to back off. I think Xron knows it's going to be quite hard to contest this with a fully health Toxic on Scale Bearer.
He's going to pick up that rail now, so the match is going to change quite significantly now. Toxic can access that railgun. Just gives you that range, right, to sort of just almost like poke someone down from distance and just sort of whittle their health before a fight even happens. Speaking of a fight, one is going to start. Minimal damage on the rockets, but Toxic, rocket jumping back up. He wants more, and he gets more. And he frags that Ranger, forcing the Blaskovitz again.
Really well played there as well, though, knowing he's done so much damage with the LG, and there's no way the Ranger could have had enough health there, so a quick rocket jump just to get up to enough height so he could actually get a clear shot on the rocket, and that was more than he needed to take it out. And Toxic once again with his champion lead. Blaskovitz is now back out, though, so we can see just his shred potential, and Xron's already been putting that to good use. Oh, but a direct rocket, that could be disastrous for Xron.
A really nice, well-placed shot, but Toxic on the chase. He knows that Xron has to run away from that distance. Going in for the dual-wield machine guns, it is going to do respectable damage. One of the few champions that is lethal on spawn because of that dual-wield starting weapon.
A speck of life left. He just has to breathe on him to kill him, but there we go. That Blaskovitz health regen. And one power-up just like that, taking him already to enough to survive a little bit of damage.
Actually, that's very important for those that may not know. Blaskovitz's passive is, if he's low on health, he will actually regenerate to his next 25 health. After a short time, catches him on the jump pad. Might have been a death sentence. Trying to ball rush out of there, taking that reduced damage just to get to the ball safely. Does save his life, actually. Still alive in this situation. Xron almost had him.
Yeah, Toxic runs towards the right-hand side with his ball rush, making Xron think he's going to go there, and then he sort of just double back and goes left instead.
Yeah, Toxic just kind of saw him and went, nope, not getting involved in that. See you later.
The Mega Health is up now. Is Xron nearby to stop him? No, and it's a Scale Bearer with it too.
Much slower rounds once again. I mean, the first and second round was so fast. On the flip side, round 3 and now round 4. Round 4's gone halfway through already. Both players, I mean, it's a matter of just really trying to make sure that you can hit those rails, but at the same time, hang on, going in for a surprise, maybe anticipating him to go down here instead.
Perhaps, but Xron was there waiting for him. The heavy armor, things Xron sort of anticipated Toxic to go towards the armor in that way, but
didn't really get much off it though.
Yeah, it's Scale Bearer. There's only so much damage you can do in one go. Oh, needs to be careful though. One more rail is going to do it. Is Xron going to hit? No, he misses.
Oh no! Precise! Xron ran right into that one, and now he's down to his final champion in this, well, first game.
That was a bit cheeky from Toxic there, making Xron think it's going to be a bit of a railgun fight, and then he just swaps to his rocket last minute, and that one shot he did was more than enough for a direct.
Thank you, faster rockets. Mega health as well. Really trying to sort of watch those important items. I mean, it can be quite predictable, you know, that if someone is needing to make a comeback, they're going to need those sort of powerful weapons to do it, like the rocket launcher, which we're going to see right here.
We can hear that he actually doesn't have a rocket right now. I think Xron's just about to pick one up. Yes, he does. He got himself a direct into a follow-up rail, and Xron with the clutchness. 2 shots is all he needs.
Now, once again, though, Toxic, he's gone down to his Sorlag, so he's consistently, when he gets fragged with that Scale Bearer, the next tanky champion is the next call to action. Nice read, though, from Xron, knowing that Toxic's going to have to try and take that rail if he wants a chance to do higher damage, especially early on.
Once again, the sort of exchange, though. Toxic on the Sorlag to Nyx. We saw Toxic do this quite well in round 1. Let's not forget he did win that round without losing Sorlag at all, and Xron was on Nyx first at the time, but he gets hit by a rail. Is Toxic going in for it? Does Ghost Walk? He's used aggressively.
Yep, it's definitely used aggressively. Can he nail it though? Yes, he does. That was a very pivotal decision as well. He's not going to die from the acid ticking down because he has so much HP left. And bear in mind, we have 4 minutes has already ticked down. Is he going to finish this? No, not quite!
Oh, toxjg with the denial just like that. It looked like Xron was on the verge of making just a very slick comeback, utilizing those direct rockets and rail combos almost like to get those first 2 kills immediately. Looked like he was about to do the exact same thing to that visor, but was unable to, and toxjg pulls it through instead.
I think it was just a really good performance from toxjg, to be honest. But Xron, I mean, he still looked strong. It just came down to those final fights that would take place. On top of the fact that clearly toxjg was making himself really difficult to sort of whittle down, because, I mean, we very rarely even saw the visor until the last minute when he got that really good rail to sort of finish the round off. But it was always scale bearer first, which lasted a million years almost. And then when he finally got taken out, always switching into the Sorlag to become just as difficult to take down, which I think is really good, because, you know, catching someone on spawn is one of the many ways players will make comebacks, where, you know, they'll take someone out after a long time of nothing happening for like 1 or 2 minutes, you know, where both players are being a little bit not wanting to put all their eggs in one basket and get fragged unnecessarily. So they finally get someone in a fight, and then they listen out for that spawn and they catch it. They make a good read of where that guy's going to be, and that guy's on spawn. He is to his defaults only, and then that, you know, they'll just lightning gun it and it'll go down, and then champion after champion will tick down. But if you are a heavier one, you just naturally have more health, so you can get away or survive the fight a bit longer.
So I feel like we're saying this a lot this weekend alone, but a very back and forth first game, and I think
not really surprised, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, of course, that's what we were hoping to see at the very least. I mean, going into this, you know, we were hearing from quite a lot of people that toxjg, you know, clear favorite to win the set, but also, you know, there were some people saying, you know, definitely don't sleep on Xron. You know, he's definitely here to play. He didn't fluke his way to the playoffs today, so he definitely deserves his place. And after that first round, where toxjg basically took that. I think that may have been the fastest round we'd seen all week, perhaps even. So that was, you know, perhaps setting a precedent for it. But immediately Xron was able to return with his own sort of, you know, one champion victory.
But then it was also Xron being able to show that he is able to play when the pace is massively slowed down as well. That round 3, although it did go into the favor of, you know, toxjg, at the end of the day, they were both under a lot of pressure in those rounds, especially as the clock ticks down and the pressure is on to really get that important frag. And it was an amazing comeback by Xron as well. Really, really well played to stay alive.
So map 2 coming up, and I do believe it's going to be Xron's pick. Still 2 out of 3 in terms of format today, so toxjg just needs to win 1 more map, and he is going to be guaranteeing himself for the regionals later on, so potentially 1 map away, but Xron needs to win 2 in a row now to make that sort of not happen. Well, have him go in there instead.
These are the important matches. These will decide who makes it to regionals. So with toxjg being 1 map up so early on, bear in mind, this is the first series of the day. It's going to be a great morale boost if you can play first, get that win early, and then, you know, yeah, you're not going to put your feet up during the qualification process of the 3 other weeks, but you can now really funnel how you're going to practice. However, because we're on Blood Covenant, we are seeing some champions change. We've seen toxjg go for less beef. He's actually got no chunky champions at all. He's got Visor, Nyx, and Ranger, all of which really effective on Blood Covenant, I think. On the flip side, actually, a complete mirror. We have pretty much an exact mirror match situation.
This is actually quite interesting, because this is the first time I've seen toxjg not pick one of those big body champions on his team. And, you know, we actually see, I think it's more map dependent than anything else that we see. I don't think players sort of seem to stick to like a set 3 no matter what map they play on. We do seem to see the guys, and we even saw this back on Thursday, people sort of quite freely changing their choices depending on the map itself, and I kind of assume that's why we're seeing this now. But Visor on both teams, I remember you saying the other day you think Visor is particularly good on Blood Covenant.
I feel like he's just really effective on Blood Covenant, because if you can sort of control the rail location and the other opponent can't get a hold of that, I think because of just the way Piercing Sight works, you have so much sort of long distance angles where if the other guy doesn't know that you can see them, he can get away with a lot of really sort of cheeky either predictive rockets because he knows you're coming around the corner, or just waiting for you to come around the corner and then picking you off with a rail before you've even had a chance to react to it. So I feel like Visor in particular is quite good on this map. But on the flip side, you know, we've seen Ranger get picked. Ranger is very effective on Blood Covenant also. That Dire Orb allows him to take so many important pickups at basically the same time. Throw the Dire Orb, collect 1. Speaking of which, a very early rail. toxjg down to his 15 HP already. Is he aware of how much damage he's done here?
I mean, Xron, we can see he's on that sort of, that barely alive pixel of health there, but that 1 pickup's going to do it, but toxjg himself very low, so he's super careful, and Xron with that clutch rail just out of nowhere. toxjg already forced onto his 2nd champion.
I like that confident decision to get the rail and immediately gun it for mega health, because I think he pretty much expected toxjg to be there, but speaking of which, There's no expectations to be had. He knows exactly where Xron is at this moment in time.
Sumo trying to get this mega health. Oh, unfortunately he misses the jump.
That is going to waste precious seconds. However, don't think it's going to punish him too heavily because Xron wasn't there to sort of really catch him off guard while he's trying to pick it up. Speaking of getting caught off guard, did eat a rail for his trouble. Can take a couple more though, especially with that health left. He did get mega health. There's the prediction, expecting him to go down to the heavy armor. Xron takes it instead.
Oh, catches him point blank. Does the Ghost walk? No, he doesn't. Oh yeah, he has used it.
Oh yeah, I think he had no choice. He was absolutely going to die if he stayed there, especially with Nyx's small health.
I'm most worried that those Nyx players really having like almost no time at all to sort of decide, okay, I've used the Ghost Walk to survive. Do I stay in this fight and sort of surprise him, go for that almost like assassination attempt, or do I just get away? And Xron's able to pick up that mega health instead though. Heavy armor coming up very soon.
But you just look at the advantage that Piercing Sight can bring. Obviously we'll talk about it in just a sec after this fight is finished, but it's the fact that Toxic was able to see that Xron was going to try and head him off near the mega health, so he was able to sort of take that detour, go for Rocket instead. And now here we are, the fight near the heavy armor. The rail's missing both players, that last minute dodge, but Toxic does get taken out again. Xron looking much more comfortable on this map.
And once again, not a huge amount of health left to go after that fight, but still enough to take it out.
Oh, he's chasing him.
Mega health comes up too. The Ghost Walk comes out. Is he getting aggressive? Yes, he is. He's chasing.
Xron doing a really good job of just staying on the ball.
Wow, Xron played that round absolutely perfectly. Those rails really carrying him through.
Just good decision making at the end of the day. Like, he controlled the weapons appropriately, and then when he knew that Toxic was going to go for a certain location, he was there to head him off. You know, every time there was a fight, it pretty much always went in the favor of Xron. And also at the same time, good management of Ghost Walk, knowing when he can't survive and just using it to get out of there. We did not see it used aggressively this time, just to survive.
Indeed, but this time Xron gets the spawn that he caught Toxic out on last time, but is able to use his speed to get the rail and the mega health. Ooh. At the same time, Toxic able to do it too.
Almost checks in with that last minute rail, trying to go away from the heavy armor as well. Doesn't quite get this rail though. Really waiting, seeing where he's going to go.
Very patient round though this time, a lot. I think Toxic being a little bit more careful here, but Xron quite low on health.
I think it's because of the mega health. The mega health is going to be such a game changer for both of these champions. No player wanted to sort of overextend, however, they have sort of traded it off again, especially with that missed rail. As I said, that does manage to catch it at the last minute.
Machine gun doing quite a lot of damage, but unfortunately, Xron was just stuck without many weapons at all, and Toxic able to just sort of cycle around, and look how stocked he is already. He has all access to those like 3 tried and true weapons, that rocket launcher, railgun, and lightning gun. Misses a rail, that could have been huge, but Xron himself now goes on to Ranger. Now, Ranger seems quite good on this map particularly though, just for like how much space he can cover with the Dire Orb. There's quite a lot of open, I suppose, walkways, especially on this top level.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's a matter of, you sort of, you know, you can throw the Dire Orb and then collect a pickup. But if you're throwing the Dire Orb towards something important as well, you can throw the orb, collect something, and then teleport to it and collect something else. Like, the speed at which he can get his items is pretty much uncontested on this map in particular. One of the only champions that can pretty much get rail and rocket at the exact same time.
Oh, makes that rail, that's clutch. He throws the Dire Orb down. Does he go in for the fight? No, he doesn't. Oh, but he hits that rail though. Oh, and Xron, once again, the rails on this map really doing well for him.
That was actually really well played. When he threw Xron threw that Dire Orb, he sort of threw it down and almost expected Toxic to try and react to it, anticipating him to teleport to it. And at the same time, the time it took Toxic to turn around and look at it was all the time Xron needed to go by rail, and then almost like surprise him with a couple of rail shots. Speaking of being surprised, here comes the Ghost Walk. Can he survive?
Oh,
16 health!
Wow, barely alive.
But speaking of barely alive, Toxic could not have less health if he tried. He has got to get out of there.
The mega health not coming up for another 10 seconds. That's all the time that Xron needs to get over there. Yeah, and he's going straight there now. He's expecting it. Toxic still quite low. Xron just trying to take hold of this, really just trying to control, even though they are even on champions. If you can have control over the respawn times of these big power-ups, put you in a really good situation.
But again, even though it was a really dominant round 1, again, the pace has been slowed down quite heavily.
Oh, the Ghost Walk immediately doesn't want to take any of those rocket damage.
Waste no time. Like, do not even bother taking that rocket, because bear in mind, she really can't afford to take direct rockets. She has one of the smallest health pools in the game. If she eats 100 damage rocket, it could be all over.
There's no way Ghost Walk's going to be up though. He's going to have to take this fight or run away the good old-fashioned way.
Oh, the surprise with the super shotgun, but it's not going to be enough. And Xron with another well-placed rocket. Toxic again is forced down to his final champion. It's going to be Visor, but he's got him on a good spawn. He really hasn't got anything good to go. Catches it on the ground, and 3 rockets was all she wrote for that round.
It's like
great spawn to catch.
It's like you said at the end of the last map, right? If you can catch them on spawn, if you can make that prediction on when they're going to be, and you're correct, and you can see them like that. I mean, you heard them shooting back. Toxic only had the starter machine gun to work with there, and when you've got a Xron there who was just stacked up, had all the weapons he needs, that was just all she wrote.
It's a difficult situation to come back from, because at the end of the day, even though Visor is effective on spawn with the piercing sight because he can at least plan his next route much more safer because you can see where the enemy is, at the same time, that won't help you if they catch you as you respawn and a fight happens because you just haven't got the weapons you need. As you actually saw there, Xron using a really nice little sort of like nail jump. It is easier to use those nail jumps since the patch.
But right now, once again, Toxic being really slow. This isn't a pace we
they're right
really
next to each other. They
time.
are on top of each other at this moment.
As Waveright misses the rail, all the dire roll comes through. 84 damage in the rocket, that's quite substantial. They're trading out with quite a lot of LG. He's going in for the kill.
That was a really nice decision, really expecting him to teleport to that dire roll. He does just that, but the chase continues. But he's taken way too much damage. And the rocket into rail was guaranteed in that situation.
Xron just looking ridiculously confident on this map. Particularly, let's not forget, this was the one he chose. Caught him on spawn again, and he got the rocket.
Well, bear in mind, the second Xron lost that last game, he said in chat, without wasting any time, DM6. Like, he knew he wanted Blood Covenant. Try to really keep him away with those rockets, but again, it's just looking so difficult for Toxic on this map in particular. Xron, very confident play right now. Toxic, though, looking nice and stacked up. Plenty of armor.
I mean, this is the kind of resources he needs to really sort of come back from this round sort of massive deficit. I mean, that's a solid 2 rounds down. Toxic needs to get 3 in a row just to win this map alone. Let's not forget, if Toxic wins this map, he is going to move on advance, but Xron desperately needs this just to stay in the tournament.
But he's playing like a man that's on the verge of sort of tournament elimination. He is hungry to win this match. You can clearly see it in his gameplay.
Of course, once again, Toxic taken down quite low. Xron, he smells blood. He's going towards it, knows he's likely to go towards this heavy armor to try and top himself back up again, but he makes the read. Toxic able to pick it up though. Hits the rail. This could be death if he can get another one.
Bear in mind, Nyx with 100 health. She can definitely tank a rail, but she can't anymore. And Toxic knew it. He just did enough lightning gun spray just to get him weak enough that a rail will finish the job. It's that next level awareness these players bring to the table where they know exactly how much damage each weapon's going to do. They know the health their opponent has, and they just do the math without even seeing the bar.
You can hear though Toxic popping his piercing sight just to see if he's safe to pick up that mega health. You can see that he is, and also that Xron is now here. Yeah, he knows where he is. Chasing him down, misses that rail. Could have been absolutely crucial.
Xron max on his defaults at the moment though, so he has pretty much ready for a fight. As I said that, the rail just denies it. But that's what the railgun can do to these smaller champions. It can really force them out of a fight the second you hit them once, because they just can't afford to stay there. They're way too weak. However, we may see something here. May have heard him, but he didn't see him.
Not quite sure. Toxic finds himself back down into the basement once again, cycling through, knows the mega health's coming back up again. Once again, Xron doesn't seem really anything remotely interested in going for it. Can hear the piercing sight's been popped. Oh,
nice reaction. Really nice reaction just to sort of deny that rail shot. Would have been super important, because no doubt with that piercing sight on deck, Toxic, with the mega health on hand, would have chased it.
Well, it's a few things, because it was, oh my god, 2 rails back to back.
He can't afford, he cannot afford to take a third one. He's now down to his final champion, and Xron on the verge of 3 straight rounds.
3 straight rounds, and 2 of them being with 1 champion, I believe, as well. Xron really, really strong on this map specifically.
I feel like this is the strength of Nyx. She is such a dangerous champion to take first. Her ability to sweep an entire team because of that Ghost Walk. I said this earlier on the stream, because she has the smaller health pool, that doesn't mean she's easy to frag.
Well, speaking of which, though, we're already seeing it. Normally, if you get caught using a jump pad, that's like guaranteed rail damage, or, lightning gun just keeps you up there. But Nyx can see that. She can see that you can see her using that jump pad and go for that Ghost Walk in the air, so you don't get that guaranteed rail on it.
Here comes the fight once again. Catches him with a rocket into a rail, and again, 3 straight rounds. And that is definitely one way to answer back.
Indeed it is, and that means map 2 is going to go in the way. Wow, that was insane, man. Dan Xron is going to take that second map just by himself. I do believe 2 of those 3 rounds was like a single champion as well.
I think it's just Nyx on that map. You see that quite often, actually. When you watch just general duel gameplay, Nyx going first is a really dangerous tool to essentially take out all 3 champions, because normally you catch a champion in that situation and go, right, easy. You're caught in a corner. You can't survive this rocket. Point blank.
I do think we see Xron Blood Covenant more than anything else so far. At least, you know, sort of going by what we saw.
Well, it's not just survivability; it's her mobility. You know, it's the fact that she can actually navigate pretty much anywhere she wants to go on the map, especially sort of like the top section, where you know she can basically go anywhere that she wants to go because the double jump. She can basically wall jump. I say double jump; it is a wall jump. But there are so many walls on the map that let you get around. It's a really useful and unpredictable way to move. I think that might be one of the reasons we had Visor as well, because if you have unpredictable movement because you have so many paths to take, Visor in some ways can shut that down because now he can see where you're going. But we didn't really see Xron's Visor do a huge amount because he didn't need it.
Exactly, you know, he just didn't seem to need to pull it out there at all. But I think the longer that last round went on, the harder it was going to be for toxjg to make that comeback, though. Because not only was he down, like, you know, 1 champion left to Xron's 3, he also had, the time was against him. It was sort of, you know, by the time he started using his 3rd champion, it was 3 minutes 30. So then he had 1 minute and 30 seconds to take out 3 champions alone. With, you know, someone like Ranger could be quite slippery. Nyx is quite hard to guarantee a kill onto. And Visor obviously can see where you are and use that to run away if he wants. So I think Xron just put himself in a really good situation to sort of just keep that lead stronger. And the longer the game went on, the more prominent it became. But it looks like toxjg's gone for Corrupted Keep as his final map of the set.
It was said that it was potentially a really close series between these two guys. And we are seeing that really sort of come out to play right now. It's 1 map each in a 2 out of 3 map setting. Corrupted Keep is going to be the final map in this series, and whoever wins this will move on into the EU Regionals for Duel, which will just bring them 1 step closer to the Quake World Championship Finals live at QuakeCon later in the year.
So toxjg's going back to this tried and true Sorlag Scalebearer core 2, but Xron's actually returning with his own Sorlag.
Already a difference. It's actually going to be at least 1 piece of beef on Xron's side, but that, again, I feel like that Blazkowicz, another direct answer. We most of the time when we see Blazkowicz picked last, it's when we see the beef get picked, and it's like, right, let's just shred the health down. Especially on Corrupted Keep, you know, where sometimes like rails to sort of keep opponents at bay before a fight happens is really effective versus someone like Blazkowicz, who, you know, when he goes in and tries to pop his dual wield, which is by far his main form of shred when it comes to like how much damage he can do, there's no rail on Corrupted Keep. So his sort of like double lightning gun or double rocket has just become way more dangerous because he is now going to much easier be in that effective range that he needs to be.
Speaking of dangers, though, toxjg with Scalebearer on Corrupted Keep. We saw him put in work on Thursday with this champion specifically on this specific map. And I think Scalebearer just really plays this map super well because now there's no rail. So we actually saw by itself that, you know, Xron was getting a ton of mileage out of the rails on Blood Covenant specifically. So now the rail is gone. The big champions now, the only way you're going to be able to really chunk them down is with that lightning gun, with that rocket launcher. But the fact that there's no rail and there's a lot of sort of closed, shorter spaces, this isn't the most open of maps. I can see both Scalebearer and Sorlag getting a lot of mileage out of just the map by itself.
Now toxjg actually has got in for Blazkowicz first. Opted to save his chunky champions until a little bit later.
He may, like you said, right, Blazkowicz just being good at just shredding down champions. Maybe he just predicted.
We actually saw Cypher on this map with Blazkowicz do a really amazing job of just rushing most rounds. We saw some of the absolute fastest rounds behind Cypher's Blazkowicz, so you wonder if it's like, this is almost just like the rush strategy. Pick Blazkowicz, go straight in there, shred health, kill as many champions as you can as fast as possible. Both the heavy armor and mega health get traded out 1 for 1. toxjg with that heavy armor on deck. Gets a couple of rockets, catches him in a bad spot, but either way, going in for lightning gun, can he finish this off?
And toxjg's getting a little bit low, but not quite low enough. Xron, no armor left to work with, and both pickups quite a way away from spawning as yet, so we're going to have to sort of top themselves up the old-fashioned way.
Bear in mind, though, toxjg sitting on armor. Xron with nothing yet. Those chunky champions become a lot more dangerous when they get armor on deck. We're going to see a trade again, no doubt. Yep, mega health, heavy armor, traded once again, but this time getting a little bit of armor as well. 25 armor on top of 200 HP is still a really nice amount. Make that 25 again. Already a slightly slower map than we've seen previously. Normally we'd see very explosive starts, champions get taken out very quickly. Neither player trying to go too far in. Those rockets are so dangerous on Corrupted Keep.
Indeed, once now we can see Xron, just that sheer health advantage he's got right now. The heavy armor spawning now, so there we go, a fully stacked Sorlag.
This got a little bit dangerous, but at the same time, no doubt toxjg is going to have his dual wield again. There's been enough time sort of stalled that both players are going to have their abilities going in for the acid spit. Will it be enough? He's going to try and meet back with his own dual wield, but the acid ticking down does finish off Toxic, and now he's down to his 2 chunky champions and nothing else.
Our question is Toxic going to be able to catch him before this mega health or the heavy armor respawns? We can see that Xron isn't quite, I don't want to say weak or lower, because he's managing to top himself up quite a lot, but Toxic does have that health advantage right now, but no, heavy armor goes in the way of Xron once again. Toxic, if he lets him get this heavy mega health, he'll be a bit of trouble. There's the acid spit comes out again. Toxic forced to run away.
Yeah, bear in mind he's going to know exactly where Toxic is, because you can see the damage numbers ticking down once the acid connects, really, and that's all he needed to run in with the LG. A really good round for Xron so far, but I really think the number values appearing through walls is one of the low-key greatest tools for that acid spit.
Especially on this map too, with Quake being so small. I mean, there's only so many places they can go to run away, and Toxic now with Sorlag himself, but Xron just keeping himself really topped up. I think Xron being so hard to kill in almost every fight is being really advantageous for him. This lightning gun fight goes down to the absolute wire, but Toxic's able to take it away. The mega health is up though. He's opting heavy armor not for a while. Yeah, opting to just sort of go for the regular pickups instead. Catches him off guard, but going straight down with the dual wield. Xron knew he was going to meet Toxic in the middle, and a preemptive dual wield to just shred as much health down as possible.
Prepare to fight.
Really well played.
Yeah, very, very strong round for Xron though. I think that Sorlag pick really sort of threw Toxic off guard.
Oh, yeah, this is one of the first times we've seen him go for a chunky champion, let alone first. But this time around, actually, they've almost traded it out. Now, Toxic has started with Scalebearer, and Xron has gone with Ranger.
Indeed. Now, Xron's actually picked Ranger in all 3 maps today, so this definitely seems to be a comfort pick for him.
I think it almost keeps him quite unpredictable, doesn't catch him on the very end. If he caught the very end of that bull rush, no doubt we would have seen Xron go down. It does so much damage, especially versus a Ranger with this much health.
We can see both these power-ups spawning at basically the same time. He's not going to be able to control them both. Both going towards the heavy armor. Toxic catches him out. Oh, but that rocket doing so much damage. Toxic being forced to run away.
Xron's rocket placements this entire map have been so on point. Every time a rocket connects, he's been doing minimum 70 damage. And even if you are a big champion with a large health pool, that is still a significant amount of health.
If anything, it's enough to get you to sort of run off. But Toxic, no, caught with his back to the ball, nowhere to run. This is a really hard situation for him to get out of, because Xron, you can tell he's here. He wants this frag.
Trying to go in for the ball rush, does manage to get away, but with not much health.
Oh,
and there was no health to pick up. That's so unfortunate.
That was it. Toxic, he was just praying that they were going to be there. Stopwatch again. Xron is ready with his mega health. Toxic caught very low in health again. Is Xron going to go for this kill?
No doubt we're seeing Toxic retreat once again. He does not want to take a frag unnecessarily. It's just not working out for him. These fights have gone in the favor of Xron every single time. Then again, he's on 15 HP. He cannot survive this. He has to get away. Toxic looking way more stacked now. I wonder if Toxic would have chased that if he knew he was so weak.
He has to go where he is though, because Xron managing to take himself back up to 100 health again. Has a bit of armor to work with too. Toxic quite low.
Oh, that's such a quick sequence. The LG just shredding health.
Xron's actually quite good at that though, doing so much damage with the LG and then quickly, you know, just flicking over to the rocket launcher and shooting a quick one just to see if it's going to do anything. And constantly he's doing tons of damage with that one shot by itself, but another fight sort of brewing out here, sort of poking each other down a little bit.
Retreating down, taking that health. Ranger more than healthy enough to fight this, I think. He knows he's going to be nearby. Bear in mind, there's no health, though big health power-ups coming up soon, so the fight's going to have to happen right now. Tries to run away, and the acid misses again. Xron this turnaround has been really fast.
I think a big part of this is just champion selection. Xron is really putting that time to think about it. Toxic couldn't get that frag though, but you know, sort of Xron just playing super well, and he's changing his roster quite dramatically through every match, and it's playing out for him super well.
Oh no, the acid again! Acid combined with the lightning gun is such a fast amount of health that goes down. It's unbelievable.
Let's not forget, you know, once you start taking the acid damage, that is going to continually tick until it's done its damage. So you're just going to add that chunk to whatever. And how many times do we see people get away from a lightning gun sort of 1v1 with a little bit of health, and that acid's just going to finish it off?
Oh,
what on earth was that?
He had full health a second ago. What happened?
Xron is just getting aggressive. Toxic really having the pressure put on super thick at the moment.
Bear in mind, this is match point for Xron. If he wins this round, he will make it into the regionals in a dominant fashion, no doubt. But we'll see if Toxic can make this comeback. It's going to be very hard. He lost that Blaskovitz so quickly to the shred of the super nail gun combined with Dire Orb.
Hey man, I think it's fair to say Toxic was the favorite going into this series, but we were told don't count Xron out. You know, he will surprise people, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
We are clearly seeing why. This guy is not messing around today. Gets that heavy armor as well.
think it's quite fitting that first frag was on Ranger too, a champion that Xron seems so comfortable with. And it all comes down to just that masterful placement of that Dire Orb, just doing huge amounts of damage in those close quarter sittings. It seems quite hard for Toxic to actually sort of get around the Dire Orb though.
Well, we're actually also consistently seeing Xron have so much health every fight. His navigation around the map to pick up the armor and pick up the health, never be out of full health before a fight happens, is just on point. Toxic making the big plays, big read to go in with the bull rush, doesn't manage to make it connect though, but he still has more health, going in for the chase again, but Xron picks up the mega health, and that's going to be pivotal in this fight. Toxic trying to get away, but can he escape in time?
It's picking a few up though, but Xron is able to control both of these big pickups immediately. Mega health and heavy armor both go to him, and he gets caught on the jump pad. Can Toxic get out of this one?
Not a great situation to get caught on, especially when he's so weak. The heavy machine gun might pick him off from range. The rocket necessarily trying to get away. I'm not sure he can survive this. If he gets headed off, that might be over.
He's trying to chase him down. Toxic needs to get away, but Xron's not making it easy. The bull rush comes through, used his ability just to survive.
He wasn't even able to go towards the mega health because he was just half a second out on it respawning, and that's going to give Xron another one up on him on top of the heavy armor. And this has just become a hard situation to come back from.
This is just a game of cat and mouse, and unfortunately Toxic is the biggest mouse we've seen so far. No health, no armor, desperately trying to top himself back up again. Slowly but surely managing to get himself back up to full health, but Xron, you can see, just so stacked up with health and armor so far.
He is on the chase. Like, it is literally just tying that noose around. Like, he is just consistently heading him off as well. But every single time there's a fight, look at how consistently Xron is managing to stay stacked up.
Toxic able to get that heavy armor for the first time. Is Xron going to chase him down?
That's definitely going to be a start. He really needed that heavy armor.
Could have been a bit risky to go for it there, but I mean, understandable. Toxic really needs to start getting up. There we go. Full, like, plenty of armor and absolutely a massive amount of health so far. Toxic can finally start taking some of these fights.
It was a great demonstration of how Toxic was able to sort of survive, remain unseen, use that bull rush to navigate the map safely while taking reduced damage. Like, I mean, look at this advantage now. He's actually flipped it back now. Toxic, he's the one in the driver's seat in this one particular matchup, but he is still one champion down. Bear in mind, this goes to timeout. He's going to lose because he hasn't got enough champions.
But he only does need that one kill just to even things out. If there's one champion Toxic has available that we think he's going to be able to make this comeback on, it's probably Scalebearer, this champion that he looks so confident on constantly. Xron, though, definitely lower on health and armor now. You can say he's really sort of stacked himself back up again.
Again, a much slower change of pace. Toxic, almost like a sort of trying to get around quickly, but if he manages to tag him with the bull rush, that's going to be almost like a sort of little victory. He's going to be super aggressive, running straight in. No health to take the fight. And Toxic, look at how much health he's got. He can make this comeback now if he wants to. Just like that, Toxic's back into the fight. Dual wield, I think, just to really keep him as far away as possible. But he's aggressive. He pushes the advantage anyway.
Yeah, Toxic's taking the fight. He knows that Blazkowicz doesn't have as much health as he does. And Toxic obviously has access to these smaller pickups around him too, so quite brave to take that fight, but definitely paid off for him.
I wonder if Toxic actually expected Xron to collect the mega health. You actually bear in mind, the mega health has only just been picked up. I'm not sure if he thought that Xron had taken it already. Or that he thought that maybe the heavy armor was just more important.
I mean, he was able to get it though. You know, we've seen how useful these big body champions can be when they have heavy armor. The bull rush comes through, he's making the read. Oh, I think he kind of expected Xron to be there. Unfortunately, he wasn't.
We look at the cooldown, it's so small. In 23 seconds, he's going to have it back already. Speaking of which, going in with the dual wield, that's going to be massive damage if he can sort of juke and dodge, which he does successfully. And now Toxic, after such a slow round, he's now the one in the driver's seat. Xron down to his final champion, which is going to be Sorlag. Lots of health and armor, though.
This is going to be just that one round, but like you say, Toxic now has that champion advantage. If he can survive 20 seconds, Xron taking this fight. Having to back off quite low here. Yeah, Toxic manages to clean that up completely. There was 15 seconds left before Toxic would win anyway. I think Xron was sort of forced to take that fight no matter what, even though all she had access to was that machine gun, Sorlag. Not quite enough.
Well, I think that's definitely a lesson or two in composure. You know, how Toxic was match point down. It was looking so good for Xron as well. All he had to do was take a couple more champions away after such an amazing start too. That Dire Orb frag was one of the fastest frags we've seen so far in this World Championship. But Toxic with the ultimate composure, staying alive and staying in this tournament.
Well, composure is the word for it. You know, that was an aggressive start by Xron, unexpected, and you know, just Toxic losing that first champion immediately, having to make that adjustment straight away. But no, he's going to lose his Scalebearer if he keeps this up.
Hasn't got a lot of HP himself, but he did do a respectable amount of damage. Xron, though, getting stacked back up as well. I wonder if they're going to trade. Well, the heavy armor's down at the very least, but the mega health has only just been taken. These sort of slow exchanges, they tend to be quite common, I think, on this map in particular. The player gets a good decision.
Quite a lot of damage here there with the OG. Big Toxic being a lot braver in these fights now, a bit more willing to take this poke damage.
Look at how consistently he's actually able to sort of keep his health and armor on check. And Scalebearer with that natural pull, going straight forward, taking very minimal damage because he is going to take reduced damage during that bull rush. Caught a little bit off guard though, taking a bit of free damage, and now too risky to take that mega health. He's got to try and get heavy armor instead.
He does very low on health though. Xron can get aggressive. He can do a ton of damage here. Maybe take off this first champion, but walk straight into a rocket launcher.
Really good prediction, Rocket, expecting him to come out of the teleporter. Bear in mind, Xron, very minimal armor, but on the flip side, Toxic, they just do a good job of taking some of that health back. It was minimal health beforehand.
And you can see his pace really slowed down. They're taking fights where they can, but neither player really wants to overcommit to this.
He's going to sort of pepper that mega health with the rockets, but nice pattern actually. Xron, I should say, getting a good rhythm in between those two rockets to take minimal damage while at the same time getting mega health. That's just good awareness, I think.
But once again, the heavy armor goes in the way of Toxic though, so they are sort of just trading those between each other once again. We can just see how much health and armor Toxic has though. If they take a fight, he's going to have that health advantage, but he is a bigger body, easier to hit.
Rare footage of the tri-bolt being used.
You can see plenty of weapons
They
on
are
the side.
so close to each other as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, he just caught sight of him, I think. Going in, taking that reduced damage instead of anything really substantial. But just look at how much health and armor he's got now. He has got access to the heavy armor as well with Xron, but you wonder when these guys are going to finally have their fight because they're both so stacked up. The 100 damage, no doubt Toxic has seen that.
Yeah, he's expecting him to go towards the armor, but Xron doubles back to the left instead, being unpredictable, going the, I suppose, less ideal route. I think maybe Xron was kind of hoping there'd be a heavy armor there, but goes to the left anyway.
The fight definitely seems to start when one of these players manages to land a substantial rocket that they can see. I mean, you can see the damage numbers, right? You can see when you've done 90 or 100, and it's like, right, that guy just got hurt really bad. Now I'm going to go in.
And the tri-bolt being used to sort of zone him away. All catches around the corner. Rockets coming through on the side of Xron.
Ball rush again, just to try and stay safe. Oh, I don't think he actually expected Xron to be in that building. If only he'd have gone through the door, maybe we'd have seen a frag there.
Indeed, but speaking of which, a lot of damage coming through from Toxic. Catches him on the jump pad.
That dire orb though does so much burst, just like that. Look at how little health Toxic has. Both players on the brink of death. Who's going to get a final rocket? It's not enough because he picked up the health.
Oh, Toxic falls down, still super low. Oh, the heavy army manages to bull rush straight through it.
6 health though, 25. That's still not a huge amount, but these 2 health pickups right here saved his life, no doubt. Look at the slow round. We're almost 4 minutes in and not a single frag.
This might be a one-champion game at this rate.
That's going to become very tense for Toxic. Bear in mind, he is match point down. If it goes to sudden death and its next champion wins, I mean, it's 1 champion's riding on his tournament life.
Mega health goes in the way of Toxic. That's huge. Just how much health he has. You can see already over 160 HP and full armor. Looking really strong for Toxic right now. 60 seconds, or just under, I should say, left on this round.
Make that 50 at this case. It's going down so quickly. You wonder if Xron's actually going to be a little bit more aggressive here. Maybe he's the one that's going to try and put the pressure on. But both players, to be honest, being so careful. A level of cautiousness that we haven't really seen from either of them this entire set.
To be fair, Xron got a lot of these rounds by that aggression, being really accurate. But I mean, the sort of the absence of a rail really hurting his burst. Toxic seems to be adjusting to that really well.
We're going down, both players trying to navigate near the heavy armor. Not today, though. No doubt, I'm fairly certain we are going to go down to a sudden death situation right here. Both players still not overcommitting, even with 15 seconds on the clock.
I'll be very surprised if we saw a frag in these next 15 seconds, considering how cautious they're already playing. But who knows? Maybe
it looks like Toxic may have to jump on Xron here. Xron does not know he's here. He's sneaking around, but then again, Toxic doesn't know he's here. He's caught sight, gets that damage rocket, but it's not a huge amount of damage.
Able to take that complete ambush and only get 44 damage on it. That is unfortunate.
Going for the big decisions into the bull rush. Manages to take the mega health. We are now in sudden death, so it's going to be next champion will win this round. The pressure's now on for Toxic to make sure it counts, but just look at how much health and armor he's got. If he wants to be aggressive here, he definitely can be.
We've got to look at this matchup though. That Ranger, Xron's doing a really good job of sort of holding onto that dire orb. He uses it for burst when he knows it will guarantee him the kill. But he's so good at escaping with it too, when you can see that, you know, Toxic has his bull rush down, or Yeah, if he just needs to get away quickly.
He tries to get the direct. He's caught on the bottom though. Doesn't quite go into the teleporter. Takes a rocket. Gets 2. Does get the mega health though. And the armor's going to be super important for him. But you wonder how long it's going to be until we actually see a frag. Because neither player, they still have no signs of going in just yet.
Oh, that's a nice chunk of damage though. 88. That's the kind of stuff he wants.
Yeah, Xron got hurt big time by that. He got hurt by that one as well. Hasn't got a huge amount of health left. Toxic's going in, but again, he's taking so much damage. Xron! This is so close. Xron is running away once again, but Toxic with 14 health. This is sudden death. If he loses his Scale Bearer now, it's all over for him.
That's it though. This could be the last life for Toxic in this week's tournament. Needs to top himself up, but Xron has already managed to get himself to full health, has control of the mega health too. Heavy armor's coming up though, so Toxic, there we go, saving himself. Oh my lord, that came down so close, but it wasn't the decider.
That was just too close for comfort, honestly. Hang on, Xron with the prediction, thinks he might be here, catches him with the LG. Again, not overextending, shooting those rockets, but at a safe distance. Again, as you can see, Xron being a little bit mindful of that. Mega health is going to spawn in 5 seconds. He definitely knows it because he's the last one that collected it. No doubt he's got that timer in his head.
All the rockets come through though. Mega health going in the way of Toxic once again.
Xron immediately acknowledging that he's going to go and take that heavy armor as long as Xron's taking mega health. And again, they've gone for the trade. This is a long round.
Indeed, they're really taking their time. You know, they are playing for $1 million championship. I can't exactly blame them.
Yeah, bear in mind, guys, whoever wins this game will make it to the EU regionals, which will bring these guys one step closer to that championship finals. Catch them with the LG. It's a nice little stream right here. However, I mean, the health and armor is still so even. But you have to bear in mind, Toxic has got that bigger hitbox. He is going to be easier to hit with basically any form of lightning gun. Look how much damage he's... I mean, the round has gone on for so long. He just got that damage dealer medal, and no frags have happened.
That is insane. Absolutely insane. But Toxic, you can see, though, he capped himself on armor. Health looking really good, too. Xron very weak here. We can see it.
Bear in mind, with no railgun, the heavy machine gun really is going to be your closest source of like a sniper-based weapon. Especially when you zoom in. Oh, if only he jumped down a little bit earlier, we may have seen that bull rush connect. We may see this final fight here. Meets him with the heavy armor. However, no substantial rockets just yet. But Toxic with that life advantage. Keeping him away from that health as well, forcing him to run. No mega health for 10 seconds yet.
That's the thing though, Xron just doing a really good job of just surviving, getting away from this Toxic. You can tell Toxic really wanted to force that fight. But Xron just took everything he could to just run away as far as possible. I mean, you don't want to be fighting a Scale Bearer that you know has just picked up the heavy armor right in front of you.
Manages to get Angle going in for the aggressive bull rush. He's chasing him down. I don't think Xron was ready for that, but the bull rush didn't connect, so he didn't get a huge amount off it. Bear in mind, a 25-second cooldown. He will have it again.
This is a good situation for Toxic, though. He's picked up the heavy armor, you can see.
He's being a little bit more aggressive now, right? He's going for the chase. This could be impatience, or it could just be absolute confidence. I'm inclined to think confidence at this point.
Xron into left though. Catches him going for the armor. The Dire Orb comes through, doesn't teleport to it.
Oh, Xron's in trouble. He's not got a lot of health. And bear in mind, Toxic, if he's going to be the one that gets that mega health as well, I don't even think he's interested. I think he's trying to go for the frag.
Oh, he misses it. He cancels it. Second guess.
He chases it, and there we go! What a sequence. That was a patient round. 4 minutes into overtime. That was a almost 10-minute round. No champions went down until the last possible second. But I kind of feel like this is almost expected, the fact that Toxic is making these comebacks with his boy, with that Scale Bearer. I mean, it's the surprise of no one, really.
It pays off for him. Xron gets caught out, and Toxic with that amazing LG just to get as much damage as possible, taking us down to what is match point for both of these players. One will go home, and we'll have to try again next week, but one we will see again in the regionals.
I mean, that was a marathon of a round, but bear in mind, these guys still have to play one round. They're not finished. They still have job to do. The question is, are any of these guys potentially burnt out after a round like that?
Not sure, but you know, I think that round was infinitely more important for Toxic. Obviously, he was on the brink of elimination, but Xron, after trying so hard and doing so well, to then lose that round and forced to play another one against the same champion. You have to wonder how much composure it takes to just keep yourself together in this situation.
Oh, we got a couple of really important hits with that super nail gun. Each nail doing 20 damage. That adds up super quickly if you manage to land them. Using that bull rush again just to try and escape, get out of that bad situation. Going towards heavy armor, but no doubt Xron actually anticipating it.
Yeah, he knows one's down there. Looks like Toxic would much rather have the mega health, though. Just sort of really just conceding the armor. He's actually not going for the health just yet. Picked up the rocket launcher.
Maybe using it as a read, maybe expecting to already be taken. Bear in mind, unless you're timing it manually, you're not going to know when that mega health spawns unless you've seen it or heard it get taken.
Well, I think toxic's likely to know that mega health's gone now. We saw Xron looking down towards it and ran straight towards. So it's a fair assumption that he knows that Xron has both heavy armor and mega health now.
I'll be honest, I am not surprised to see just how careful both these players are being. Speaking of which, catches him off guard, trying to go for the barrage to reduce the damage, does manage to take that heavy armor. Very important that he got a hold of that, but Xron still on the chase. He is confident he can take this, but he misses a couple of rockets. The dire orb goes straight through. No teleport though. He's going to try and take the mega health instead. Can he finish it? Not in time.
It just spawned. Xron is saved by the power up. That timing coming through. Xron with the smart stuff. Toxic really wanted that kill, but wasn't able to ever so slightly finish him off.
Well, bear in mind, because Xron was the one that took that mega health, he was going to know exactly when that 30-second respawn was going to come into play. That clock at the top of the screen is everybody's best friend if you know how to time your pickups. I mean, Toxic, he's still alive though. That was a crazy exchange, but again, no frags have happened. I'm not surprised to see this level of cautiousness because it's match point both players. Whoever wins this round makes it to regionals, and if you don't win this round, you have to go through the entire qualification process again next week.
Well, the thing is, on the side of Toxic, we've already seen just how good at just escaping fights that Xron knows he can't win. He is. So if you're doing that with a champion down, and he then has the luxury of knowing that if he stalls for long enough, he will win on that timeout, you don't want to be put in that situation.
But then again, the closer we get to timeout, oh, he mistimes it by a hair's length, and he's not going to get the heavy armor. He has to sort of double back and waste precious time.
But Xron sort of here waiting for him. I expected him to go through. Fired a rocket, didn't connect though. Fortunately, Toxic fully stacked, almost one health pick up away from being fully.
I wonder what you do if you're Xron in this situation though, because Toxic, I think he's almost content playing in this passive style, because when the overtime came through and it went into sudden death, Toxic was the one that pulled that one through, and it was confident. He smelled blood, he realized he had the chance to go in, and he did just that. If it goes down to sudden death again, Toxic is going to know that he's won this before. Nice prediction rocket, caught him into the air, but didn't quite get the rocket to follow up with. Or maybe expecting Xron to go around this way, or trying to safely navigate his way back through. Speaking of which, those rockets come down, but again, Xron not trying to follow up, not trying to finish it.
Content health goes in the way of Xron once again. Toxic seems to be having quite a lot of issues sort of controlling that side of the map. He seems to have the heavy armor on lockdown, but everything is sort of outside of that. Xron seems to be running around for free.
At the same time, though, Xron now has heavy armor and the mega health stacked up. With 10 seconds left of that mega health, the fighting at that pickup might be quite dangerous because now Toxic hasn't got a huge amount of health to work with here.
Oh, nice direct!
I eat my words. That was a really nice direct rocket to sort of put him straight back in the favorable situation. You see, Toxic. How quick does this health turn around in this game mode? It's unbelievable.
It's explosive. Like these guys, you'll be playing, like, for example, again, almost like coming up on 4.5 minutes with no frags in this round, but then we've had rounds that have taken like literally a minute and no longer, and that's all 3 champions going down. This game is so unpredictable. It all comes down to the pace the players choose to play it, and right now they have slowed it down to a snail's pace. They know what's at stake. Well, they're playing for that spot at the EU regionals, and neither of them wants all this hard work to go to waste this week.
Well, basically 15 seconds time, we are once again going to go down to sudden death, and it will be the next champion wins. But so far, it's not just staying alive in the tournament, it's whoever wins this next frag is now going to move on into regionals.
So you've seen, you know, we watched Sacrifice, we saw hundreds of frags in a match. Now we are down to 1 kill is all the difference. The next player to die once is going to be eliminated.
The pressure's on both of these players. Going in for a bull rush, maybe expecting Xron to be down there. If he caught him, it would have been a really important situation. But so far, these predictive bull rushes aren't working out. But Xron actually doing a huge amount of damage. Toxic hasn't got health to take, and just like that, Xron with the chase. And after such a slow-paced game, Xron moves on into the regionals, and Toxic, unfortunately, is out of the tournament.
And it all comes down to just controlling those power-ups. He knew that Toxic was likely to go towards that armor in that situation. You know, he knew he was low. He needed to top himself up. And that's the situation we saw Toxic able to get that final frag when it went to sudden death in round 4, when he was able to keep himself topped up as much as possible. So when he caught Xron out for that one time when the dire orb wasn't up, he was able to use just that sheer armor and health to win that sudden death. So the next sudden death, as soon as Xron saw, okay, for once he is not fully healed, he has not got full full armor. He's going to go here to top himself up because that's how he killed me last time. He saw him there, and that LG did the rest.
At the same time, Xron could clearly, because he was nearby, he heard that the bull rush had been used. So he knew that it was on cooldown, and if he caught toxjg in that bad situation, there was nowhere to run and there was no escape from that. So it's such an amazingly well-played series from both players, but ultimately Xron will be moving on. And I mean, he is our first qualifier into the EU regionals. What a display from both players. No doubt we will see toxjg again. And to be honest, I have no doubt we'll see toxjg in the regionals, you know, eventually, because this guy is an animal.
I'll be very surprised if he didn't make it after just playing so well consistently today. I mean, Xron really playing out of his mind in retaliation, but toxjg made him work for it. That was, I think, arguably the closest series we've had so far in Duel of the Quake World Championships in EU. I think nothing on Thursday came down that close, and obviously this being the first set today.
I think it's a combination of also just what was on the line. You could see the passiveness in some of the gameplay. Not passiveness as such, just how careful these players were being, because, I mean, they are playing for that qualifying spot into the regionals, which Xron has obtained. He is going to be our first qualifier going into the EU regionals to determine what player is going to be one step closer to making the Quake World Championship Finals live at QuakeCon later on in the year.
But that was just one set. We have plenty more duels coming up today. Later on, we have the finals of Sacrifice. There is a day's worth of top-level Quake Champions action to look forward to. So if you're enjoying the show at home, make sure you are sticking around for it today. It will be a long show, but it'll be a good one.
It's already looked to be a good one. I kind of feel like this first series we had was almost foreshadowing as to the games that we expect. But we have our next match lined up, and that's going to be a good one as well. I believe it will be Luminous versus Noctis. We'll talk about that in due time. But you guys at home, get involved in social media. Let us know what you thought of that series. What players in these brackets, that's the word I wanted to use, do you want to see in the regionals? Let us know using hashtag QWC or Quake Champions. We're going to go for a quick break while we get our next match set up, but don't go anywhere because Quake Champions will continue after this.